Hello fellow glue sniffers and sprue snippers, and welcome back to Blitzkrieg Model Works. I'm Bob, you know me as Darkman on the forums. How's it going, everybody? So a little progress update on the Panther 2 Sturm Panther 2 build. Got most of the rear deck photo etch on for the Sturm Panther. Haven't started on the Panther 2 yet, but have got the, as we talked about earlier, the torsion bar arms, not putting them on the Sturm Panther until the diorama base is done, because I'm going to have an articulated suspension on there. So I'm going to be cutting these little locking tabs off that the suspension arms would normally lock into, so I can have them posed however I choose. So last update I showed you what I did for the turret, and much further, I like to paint the insides of my vehicles black, so just in case you can see through something, you don't see any light reflecting out of it. I started doing the applique armor on the sides. You can tell there's a bit of a gap there, and I used the same 1.5mm evergreen rod and the Mang conical bolt heads, and I didn't do the backs because I actually goofed when I did them. I did the posts, if you can see. Originally I did them equally around, but when you actually put them on, one side would hang out, so I had to relocate them. And I thought I'd take the opportunity to show you how I get all of these little posts even. So what I do is I drilled a hole, and I used a size 61 drill bit, and for those that wonder about drill bits, they come in a pack like this, and the 61 is the largest that you normally get in a set like this. Drill the hole through, put the cut the evergreen strip about 3mm or so, put it through, glue it in, and then I actually made a little jig. I figured out how big of a gap I wanted, and then when I'm done, I'll wait for this to focus, with a hole drilled in it, it pokes right through, and you take your hobby knife, and bingo, all of your posts are the same length. So again, the hole drilled in it, and nice and even, and they're all the same length, so they'll sit nice and even, they don't rock around, so that works really well. The rear deck, I've got the Aber etch set on, so each one of the radiators is a two-piece. There's a grill, and then there's like an overprotective grill. Focus. And then some of the other covers, they actually give you a different screen to put inside of here, but I'm going to have other stuff on the top deck, so you're not going to see it anyway, so I didn't want to bother. And if the other Panther 2, when you get these old kits from Dragon, they have this old style lifting ring on the back, but later on they went with that style. They actually give you the parts, so you have to kind of cut and trim and fart around and fill, because you're going to see them on the inside. Those are those block housings that I talked about earlier. And so those are all done now, nice and even. So I'm almost ready to seal the whole thing up. I did have to, on the rear deck, or the rear plate, there's a couple of holes that go through the rear plate for the jack. Now, I don't want them because I'm not sure I'm going to put the jack there. I'm probably going to reconfigure the whole exhaust to something very different. So how I find the best way to fill holes is to use stretch sprue. And I know a few people have difficulty stretching sprue, and some people don't even know what I'm talking about. So a quick little demo. You just cut off a piece of sprue from your model kit, and if you want to make sure it's nice and round, because there's usually a bit of a part seam. They're not really overly careful about cutting the the mold seams on the sprue. So you can take your blade, make sure it's a fairly stiff blade, and you want to hold it sideways. This is called adzing. You want to scrape both sides. Just take that off. You can use a lighter, you can use a candle, you can even use a soldering iron. And you don't want to melt it, you just want to soften the plastic. Rotate this until it does that. Stop, and then slowly pull until it hardens about there. Now you can use the sprue for rod, you can use it for antennas, you can use it for electrical wiring, whatever you want. Some kits, the plastic is going to be better than others. You're going to have to do some trial and error. This is rather old stuff, but even though it's old, it still cuts pretty well. Just like that. Fell on the floor. So those ends are what I just used, and the holes are already there, so I just stuck them in, slathered a bunch of adhesive on from the back side, and twisted them until they stopped moving, and then just let them set. Then I'll file them smooth, and at the end of the day, these aren't quite done yet, but that's pretty much what they're going to look like. And again, like I said, I might totally redo how the exhaust actually works, playing with some hypothetical stuff. So that's it for now. Don't have anything else for photo etch and that. Some of this stuff, like some of these will go on to a Panther F with the Voyager photo etch set, like I just did, because they don't have the periscopes. So I'm going to transfer that over and get started on doing the photo etch on the other Panther 2 kit. So that's it for now. Thanks again for watching. Really appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you haven't already for further updates. Talk to you later, guys.